Locked on Target.
Hi crew, welcome to 20 minutes of game, the half review, half let's play system that we have here on Locked on Target show, and I'm your host, Captain Chris. Today we are going to be looking at Callie's Trials, a roguelike action RPG kind of system that's basically a side-scrolling platformer as well. I know every game has every genre in it now, but basically what this game is an old school kind of throwback to the Metroidvania type games, except it's not a Metroidvania, but it has that style of gameplay. Before we get started, this game is available for $6.99 on Steam, and keep that in mind when you are watching this or your regional equivalent, and I did receive a copy of this pre-release. So without any further ado, let's get started, and I'm going to start my timer. And bam, 20 minutes game. So first thing I will note is I actually thought that I got stuck on this, and let me just turn on the music real quick, because I typically play with it off, and the soundtrack is actually quite good typically, but I've been playing with it off because I've been doing E3 while this has been going on. First thing you'll notice here is there are a lot of upgrades, and they have a very annoying sold thing here, and a lot of it's just like damage reduced from enemies. Triple jump is here. You do not find your upgrades throughout the missions and store or out the levels. You actually purchase them all here. They do have things. One thing I do want to notice is if you press enter from the screen, do not press enter, because it will freeze the game as it's currently configured. It'll just make it null where you can't actually do anything. The upgrade system's nothing special. You just go and collect coins. What is special is you do have these various weapons. Some of them are really broken as far as powers go, and you do upgrade them. If you see my top right, of course I have to do it with this finger because it's reversed in camera, but you'll see the 10 by the weapons. I have spent the time to max all the weapons besides the bomb gun, I believe, and you have to press C to switch weapons. Yeah, I wanted to do that so I could show you kind of XP, and that was just terrible. Getting hit by the first enemy because he causes like no threat, but yeah, that's the bomb weapon. If you can't even see that on my screen really, but one enemy did give me XP, and every time you level up your weapon it does more damage, and sometimes gains new effects at levels 4 and 7, and all the enemies in the game are kind of a rock paper scissors type thing. Any weapon can kill any enemy, but sometimes if you hit a specific enemy type with a specific type of attack, they will die quicker or have a special effect, such as hitting bats with the freeze gun will make them fall instantaneously. Oh yes, and the water is lava, so do not touch the water. Callie's parents have not sent her to swim lessons yet, and that's the basic story here. Is Callie is a young girl forced into basically going and finding her family, who were kidnapped by the evil Herbert. I don't know if there's a doctor, but he's very nefarious, obviously, and yeah, this is the basic gameplay loop. We're not seeing many enemy types because I started over at level 1, but there is, I think, at least, I want to say 10 or 15 enemy types, not counting bosses, and this game does have bosses. That's one of the things I want to address as well, is every boss could be cheesed pretty effectively, and you can see now by me killing a few enemies, I'm starting to get leveled up a little bit. Let me just switch to some other weapons to give you an example of those. Fully upgraded rocket launcher. It does have heat-seeking missiles, which is kind of broken, but the rocket launcher is also broken in the sense that these rockets will launch onto any projectile that the enemies do, even if it's not destructible. And like it senses an enemy down below, so all my rockets are going down. And I actually think the rocket launcher is stronger without it. The ice gun here is really powerful because it actually just freezes whatever enemy it is. It's like my cheese weapon. Like whenever I get in trouble, I switch to the ice gun. Bow is really strong because of the sheer amounts of damage it does in an arc, and it allows you to shoot around these platforms. Really, you can go through the game with just a bow. You do not get these weapons when you start, though. You have to complete the levels, and you find them while exploring. But they're really, like, literally right in your path. This is what I find weird about the structure of this game, because and this enemy is quite tanky. But I feel like the upgrades, like the triple jump, should be hidden throughout the level, and then you should be able to buy with gold, and you can't really see that. You should be able to buy it with gold, or your weapons with gold, as opposed to upgrades. And I would rather be finding upgrades like health canisters around the map, rather than earning them with XP, and I already know what's going on. So, there wasn't a bee there. But yeah, here's the saw gun, one of my favorites for cheesing things, because you can fire that infinitely pretty much. And I do have the rock, paper, scissors mechanic. There needs to be a better way to select weapons. I will say that. Here's a bat. So you got insta-killed. You touch the ground. You're left over with 1 heart. I was full. But here I'll show you if I can line up the shot. Boom. Instant kill on the bats. So rock, paper, scissors. As if the ice gun wasn't OP enough. It also will insta-kill bats, which are one of the more annoying enemies in the game. Not saying they're the most. And I don't think I've gotten this one before because I haven't really shown off the stake. Yeah, this is a stake launcher puzzle. Stake launcher, you can put stakes in there, used very limitedly. You'll also notice that you're getting hearts at a surprising rate. I do have health regeneration on, but one thing I wanted to show you here is one of the problems I have with the game is it has each level, quote unquote, is a save state. So I can literally, just to farm credits or whatnot, I can just go back a level, just do the end here, and get these chests again over and over and over again. So I feel like there's no challenge to gathering gold in this game. But beyond that, like if that gets fixed, this will be a really, really challenging and really rewarding game. One of the things I don't like personally is I feel like certain enemies are just too tanky for like getting hit in the face with grenades and stuff. You'll notice that I had slight screen stutter there. That was not the explosion of the grenades. The game actually has slight screen stutter whenever it switches songs. So actually, if you have the music off, you actually have a firmer and better performance from the game because there is that screen stutter whenever it switches games or songs. But that's pretty much the majority of my critiques, negative critiques in the game. One of the things I'd also like to note to the developer is and again, I got this pre-release, so this might be fixed in the final release, but I haven't seen a Steam update, and it is past the release date now. Yeah, do not face check water. I've just explored this part of the map a lot. So I knew that secret was there, but some of the blocks you can jump into, and some of them you can't. And what I mean by that is, yeah, this is I just did it on screen, where I got caught on a block mid-flight, and it's just the collision checks are just weird. Sometimes it will kill you. That's how I actually died in the challenge Yeah, flamethrower just incinerates stuff as it should. It's one of the more satisfying weapons to use in the game. I'm trying to replicate that, but sometimes when you jump up and you press over, you will literally jump into the side of the block and have to move left again to get out. And that's what got me killed after I completed the final game. There's a challenge. There's actual challenge areas after you beat the game. You can't port to them though, which means you have to beat the final levels. And that's one of the things I should actually show off. Is I'll die eventually. Well, fully die and go back to the start. Is you can actually port further on and buy portals to the next zones. Well, actually, I don't really need to demonstrate that, and I don't want to work on spoilers too much because I'm trying. That's what I do. I try to play through the beginning of the games, and I'm sorry for spoiling like different weapons in the game, but honestly, like the different weapons are what I really looked forward to. And I'm not showing you everything. I'm just showing you specific instances of certain weapons at their upgraded states. So, yes, I know there was chests and whatnot over to the left there, but I'm trying to show a boss, and I'm not sure I'm going to be able to get to the first boss in the full 20 minutes. So, we're going to get on with it. Again, frame rate stutter when... or the game just literally froze for a second when it switched songs. I will say this, I really like the sound design. There is also typically, for my story lore buffs out there, we do have a little guitarist that kind of appears at certain points that kind of follows Callie around. He's the shopkeeper at the beginning, kind of gives her hints along the way, and like she gives congratulation messages. I'm hoping we can get to a projectile enemy. I thought I heard one in the background because you can hear them when they're in the instance. Yep. All right. What's important here is you can actually melee with your X key. And I have an upgraded lightsaber, but it can destroy projectiles, any level of sword can destroy any projectile in the game, including rockets and fireballs. So if you're good enough, you can literally not take damage. I have taken damage, but I'm just trying to rush through this to show you guys as much of the game as possible, because exploration is a big part of this game, as you can tell. I have to say, one of the things I really like about this game is how varied and how difficult the level design is later. It's not too difficult, like Squirreltopia levels of difficult. If you've watched my Let's Plays on that, chances are you haven't. But it's a fitting difficulty. And what I mean by that is I don't feel it's too hard of a game, but it's just fun in a sense where you have your upgraded weaponry. It's done with the game. Here is a lot of enemies. And here we have the first boss, Mama Bear. She is not too hard. She will just seek you if you drop down. You can cheese her with the flamethrower. But at this point, the only weapons you have are the shotgun and the pistol, I believe. And again, the pistol doesn't usually shoot 2 shots. It's just in its fully upgraded form. So let's take her on legit. Actually, let's just go shotgun, because shotgun's really OP. But one thing to notice is actually every boss in the game can be cheesed really easily with the bow. They all have this precipice. You can shoot down at least one bow. And that's just a game design issue. And you can't really beat that with how it's designed. And here we have a different biome. You'll notice that the blocks creating it are different. And that's why that situation right there is why I actually said my flamethrower, my boomerangs, which are really good. Actually, I'm going to show off a boomerang. You can throw them through walls, which makes them OP as heck. They are probably the next strongest weapon in the game, only because of their utility. is their fire and forget, and you can actually kite them behind you as kind of a wall of stuff, and you can like literally kill stuff running behind you. Spike gun, do not spend your time to upgrade this weapon. It's useless. I'm really curious to see what the level 10 mutation for the bomb gun is, but it gets the slowest XP known to man. Okay, here's an example of what I was talking about before. I cannot drop down. I'm jumping. I can't do anything other than going over again. That enemy went off screen somewhere. So there is some polish issues with this game, but overall it's a satisfying experience. I will say enemies, if you're just starting out, do not die quickly enough. Okay, and the laser gun is also worthless. What it can do, from what my thoughts is it can shoot through blocks. Yeah, it can shoot through blocks, but its damage is so terrible. It's not worth your time upgrading. So, but that's one of the in-game weapons. Let's see if I can get my bomb gun upgraded to 9. It won't get a new mode in its final form, which changes everything till 10. Which we're not going to meet in the 4 minutes and 30-something seconds we have to play the game left. And I did change the review format. I no longer am making these like 30-minute long videos with a scored system at the end. I feel like the gameplay should be enough for you to tell if you like the game, and I just add my critique on top of it. That being said, I really think Callie's Trials is a solid game. I just think that it could do with some polish in some areas. Nothing like completely game breaking, but let's just see if we can get the wolf to die real quick. Oh, turrets. Okay, I hate turrets. Okay, they're the worst. I mean, they're easy enough to deflect, but he puts them in trollish locations, and they have so much HP compared to a regular enemy. Also, the flamethrower is your best solution to these. Actually, the flamethrower is the solution to a lot of things, because the flamethrower can hit them on a lot of ledges and shoot through ledges. Actually, there's a spot. Yeah, boom! My explosion's big enough to hit right here. I don't need to do anything other than this, like sit here with the flamethrower. Flamethrower's OP. Starts out really junky, but as you upgrade it, the flame gets longer. Definitely worth upgrading, because it literally will get you through the game, especially when you have health regeneration. You can literally just like hold the button, run around, and burn things forever and ever and ever, and it's a good time. So, but you don't get the flamethrower, I think, till chapter 4-ish. Which doesn't take that long. Again, I explored every nook and cranny of this game other than completing the challenges, because I wanted to give it its fair shakes, and I love this style of game. Would I recommend it personally? Yes. I actually thoroughly enjoyed my time with the game. I had to play it in breaks, though. Hopefully I can get to the second boss in 20 minutes. But you will not be progressing through these levels as quickly, because honestly, you won't have as powerful as weapons to take on these enemies just yet. Yeah, and it happened again, being caught on the block. I can't replicate it, but when it happens, it's annoying. And it's happened 3 times, I think, in the course. I think it has to do with me going one direction and then just like strafing real quick. And it has to do with momentums. But that's a challenge. One of the things I also like about the upgrade system is you can buy like a passive dodge chance. So that makes your character pretty OP. Let's see if I can get to the bomb boss. Chronologically, okay, this will be a good chance for me to go back and show a portal, because I want to show that boss. Let's just die real quick. That's Herbert in the background. And I want to show another area of weakness I feel in the game. If I could just remember which area is 2. That's 3. Okay, I think this is 2 right here. Yes. Oh, I did the wrong one. Sad day. Because I wanted to do 3 and go backwards to the second boss. But basically what this boss is a giant blob that spawns other mobs and doesn't really do any pattern of attack other than that. And you can level up your weapons really quickly with it. So you can just port to 3 and then go backwards. But beyond that, that's also kind of broken, and you can keep on respawning him by going forward and going back, like I showed you with the gems. That's another gameplay issue, as I just thought that just made XP grinding for weapons really easy. And finally, well, I don't have time to get that because this is done. So let's just go pause it real quick. My final thoughts on the game, honestly, is a really good game in its genre. I'm a little worried about this getting lost in the myriad of action platformers we have on Steam now, because it does actually give a pretty compelling level design, even if it kind of I feel like there's certain levels that are just filler levels, like they go literally like zigzag down the screen and they're all populated by one specific enemy type. I feel like that's like later on in like chapter 6-ish, or where it's like a theme, where there'll be like a quote unquote boss rush of a specific type of enemies, and the levels at that point are themed around one enemy. So that's neither here nor there, but is it worth your time? I think so. I mean, I beat it in about 8 to 10 hours, somewhere in there. I think I've spent 16 total just trying to like break the game and trying to experiment and that type of thing so I can bring a better review. But honestly, great game. I just wish the controls were a little bit more intuitive. Like I don't like when I first started, I just didn't know what to press to actually like us go forward in some of these menus and that type of thing. But yeah, Callie's Trials for $6.99 on Steam or your regional equivalent. It's on sale because it's now just now starting to come out for 10% off of that $6.99. But yeah, really solid game, and thank you for the review, Key. And I look forward to playing more Callie's games. And actually, they have another Callie's game on Steam right now for $5, Callie's Trials 3. Or Callie's Adventures or something 3. This is a specific entry into the game. But yeah, thank you for watching my review. And if you want any to see any more reviews like this, hit the like, tell me you liked it down in the comments, and subscribe to my channel. So until we meet again, stay on target.